Hello guys, and welcome back to another video. Now in the past there have been many theme parks that have gone abandoned in the UK, but there is one theme park that not so many talk about that has been abandoned, which is the subject of today's video. This is the history of Frontierland in Morecambe. So let's get straight into the video. There are many seaside towns in the UK that have pier parks, amusement parks and even theme parks. Some examples include Great Yarmouth Pleasure Beach and Blackpool Pleasure Beach. But people forget that this theme park was also on the seaside in Morecambe. There is not that much known about this theme park, but there is some history to do with it, such as opening in March 1909, including the figure-8 wooden roller coaster, and some other little attractions that are unknown. The Thompson family, however, the owners of Blackpool Pleasure Beach, purchased this park in 1936 when it was called West End Amusement Park. The owners also owned Pleasureland Southport, one attraction that was known back then that operated until the park closed in 1999 and opened in 1930 before the Thompson family bought the park, was the Noah's Ark attraction, which is a William Strickler funhouse ride. You see these at very heritage focused parks, such as Kennywood in Pennsylvania, and this park was no exception, given that it has operated from 1909 to 1999, 90 years. When the Thompson family bought this park, other rides started popping up, like the Texas Tornado, which was a replacement for the William Strickler figure-8 roller coaster from 1939 up until its closure in 1999, which was probably the most popular attraction in the Frontierland family theme park. Moon Rocket, the Super Ben-Hur, the Dive Bomber, the Runaway Mine Train as well, which was a wooden wild mouse from 1960 to 1999, which actually got relocated to its sister park down in Southport, and another dive bomber to replace the previous dive bomber. Those are the only known rides. Oh yeah, and the Paratrooper. Those were the only known rides from 1940 to 1961. But more rides kept on coming in after 1961. Like the Swirl in 1974, the Twist in 1975, the Western Carousel in 1976, the Haunted Silver Mine, which was a dark ride, in 1978, Meteor in 1979, American Paratrooper in 1980, the Jetstar 2 Schwarzkopf roller coaster from 1980 until like around 1981. The Big Wheel in 1980, manufactured by Vekoma. The Caterpillar in 1980. Cinema USA in 1980. Waltzer in 1980. A lot of rides did open in 1980. Harrier Jump Jets, I think that's how you call it, in 1981. Only operated for a year though, just like the Waltzer, which only operated for 1980. I'm saying 1980 a lot of times. The Log Flume though, manufactured by Aerodynamics, opened in 1981, which was a popular ride in the Frontierland theme park. The Octopus opened as well from 1981 to 1984. Scat, I don't know what that is, for that season in 1981. The Western Waltzer to replace the previous Waltzer in 1981 and operated till 1987. The Satellite also opened, but this time in 1982 until 1985. I am listing a lot of rides here, so I am sorry. The American Scrambler opened as well, another twist ride in 1983 up until the closure of the park in 1999. The Super Speedy Easy Rider in 1983 till 1984. the All-American Stargazer in 1986 till 1995. There is no official date for these rides, but the Ghost Train, which was another dark ride made by Supercar, was opened around the 70s until its closure in 1999. The Rampage Slide once again opened around that same period until 1999. And the Ski Jump, which is a Mack Rides flying coaster, whatever that is, from the 1970s up until its closure in 1981. You also have the Rockoplane, which opened around 1985 until 1987. But in 1986, visitor numbers were at an all-time low, so Jeffrey Thompson, the owner of the park, decided to give the 10-acre site a complete overhaul. This involved turning the park into Frontierland. Previously, as I mentioned earlier, it was called West End Amusement Park, but then sometime when Jeffrey Thompson owned the park, it got changed to Morecambe Amusement Park. Jeffrey Thompson hoped that this would cause guests to flock back to Morecambe. This worked for a few years, but once again visitors dropped in 1999. But what rides opened before 1989 when it got changed to Frontierland? The Waltzer, another waltzer during that season, specifically in 1986. The Rock and Roll, an Alan Herschel Rock and Roll. I don't know why I'm saying it like that. During the time period of 1988. Stampede, which was a Pinfari Zyklon coaster from 1988 to 1998, which was relocated to Billing Aquadrome. And the All-American Stargazer, which was once again in 1986 up until 1995, where it got moved to Marvel's Amusement Park, as well as the Rock and Roll moving to Pleasureland Southport. But in 1989, Jeffrey Thompson opened the Sky Ride, which is a cable car that would allow people to fly over the park and out over the promenade before turning around and going back to the station. The ride was initially a big success and once again visitors flocked to the park, but in 1991 visitor numbers were back down to low standard and investment was not being put into the park so freely as two previous attempts had backfired. In 1991, they did purchase a teacups ride called the Percolator, unknown manufacturer, from 1991 to 1998. The Rattler, which was a Caterpillar roller coaster from 1991 to 1999, and got relocated to Blackpool Pleasure Beach. But in 1992, Jeffrey Thompson was about to make his biggest investment ever at Blackpool Pleasure Beach, because we all know what this investment was going to be. It was going to be the 235 foot tall, which I don't think is true. I think it's 213 feet because it's measured by sea level, which was obviously the Pepsi Max big one, which was a £12 million hypercoaster that everyone in the UK knows. One ride which had stood at Blackpool for over 10 years was in the way of these plans, with the construction of the big one due to start in late 1992. The Space Tower was designated for removal, so in 1993 Frontierland received the Space Tower, a 150 foot tall gyro tower. The ride was initially going to be placed at the back of the park, but with the sponsorship from Polo Mints secured, the ride was positioned on the front. This resulted in a boost in visitor numbers, but nowhere near what Blackpool was about to be getting from the opening of their new roller coaster, the big one. The Polo Tower though did I think get a delay, as on Coasterpedia it does say it opened in 1995 up until its closure in 1999. Once again, this was a popular attraction, being an observation tower made by Intamin, but here is where it starts going downhill, as the Polo Tower was the last major investment for Frontierland. However, fans of the park believe that Jeffrey Thompson had no intention of shutting the park down, as in 1995 the installation of the tower, he signed a contract allowing a telephone mast to be placed at the top of the tower. This contract allowed the company to have their mast on the tower for 20 years, meaning that the Polo Tower could not be taken down until the contract expired, which means that it was SBNO for a long period of time. Frontierland did begin to close in 1998 with just some little investments like the satellite. Another satellite opened for 1998 till 1999, and once again another waltzer called the Western Waltzer opened from 1998 till 1998. The jamming spinning roller coaster that I think stood but not operated. Very little is known of the jamming spinning roller coaster. The American coaster has an unknown date of opening and was closed in the closure of the theme park. There were a couple of other attractions like the Carousel, the Giant Slide, King Circus, King Loops, Reverse Bungee, Rotor and Twister. They just spent the last of their money for travelling rides, which are those rides. But Frontierland began to close in 1998 after the 90 years of operation. The demolition of the park was due to take 3 seasons to complete, with the back of the park going first. As the park began to shrink, rides were sold and transported all over the world. However, the demolition of Frontierland was never fully completed, as the log flume and Polo Tower remained on site. In 2009, however, the log flume was removed whilst the Polo Tower continued to remain with its gondola removed, as its only purpose was to fulfill a contract for the positioning of a mobile phone mast at its peak. Towards the end of the 2000 season, all the ride shops and facilities such as toilet blocks were completely removed. One of the last rides to be removed was the Sky Ride, the cable car system that took riders from the back of the park across the front and over to the turnaround on the promenade. The current location of this ride is currently unknown. But that is it, guys, for today. What do you think of Frontierland? Did you ever go there? Have you even heard of it? Let me know in the comments down below, and I'll see you next time.